Oh, I'm on. Okay. Hey guys, it's Wade. What we're going to do today, we're going to build the TechOne EPP Fun Fly. This thing so far is looking pretty cool. I've managed to bend it around. I mean, you can see, not going to really destroy it. So what we're going to do is do the build video. We have the kit version of this aircraft. So we just went through and made sure we had all the components that were actually supposed to be in the kit, which is pretty much just the airframe, some control rods, and little balsa pieces. We had to add our own propeller, we had to add our own ESC, we had to add our own motor, servos, battery, the whole kit and caboodle. So if you want to not have to add that, basically you're going to have to buy the ARF, and then the only thing you'll need to add is the radio and the battery. So let's begin. First off, what I'm going to do is we're going to start off with the fuselage. Now this fuselage is pretty thin, kind of like me. That's why I like it. It's built a little like me. The first steps are pretty easy. You're going to look in your package and you're going to see these two little carbon fiber rods or fiberglass rods. They should be in the package of all the pieces that are in there, right alongside your rubber bands. Alright, you're going to take those two, and the whole purpose is to basically mount them through the fuselage. Now you're going to have to wiggle it a little bit and kind of push it through. Alright, and you'll actually soak these in glue before you do that, put a little CA glue on them, but the reason I wanted to show you is because the direction in the book is not all that great. You have to put these in, try to get them as even as possible as far as the measurements. If you want to get all obsessive compulsive and whatever like that on it, then you can use a ruler, but I tend to eyeball things because I really don't care if it's 1 millimeter off. But what these are going to do is provide support for the wing. It'll hold the wing on using the rubber bands that are supplied with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue these. I'm going to place the one on the front, and then I'm also going to place the one on the back. The holes are already in there, so you don't have to make the holes. And as soon as I'm done, I'll show you what I did, and we'll move on to the next step. So as you can see right here on the fuselage, alright, we went ahead and we've glued in the carbon fiber rods that are going to hold our wings in place right there. Okay, now one thing to mention is the actual directions said to use some friendly CA. So it took a while, but we shopped around our local Hobby King store and we found some friendly CA that we could use. Alright, friendly CA. Now, what I think they really mean is just some foam safe CA, but we went ahead and just found the friendly CA. It was a little more expensive, but we had to get it imported from China, but hey, we've got it here. So we're done with that. Next, what we're going to be working on, we're going to install the actual horizontal stabilizers and the vertical stabilizer into the fuselage. Now this is really simple. We've already pre-fitted it to make sure that it works. But basically what you're going to do is on this nice little slot here, and you can see how flexible it is. All you're going to do is just insert the horizontal right in. Alright, and try to center it as best as possible. Now if you notice right here, I'll let you try to zoom in on that. Right inside of there, on the actual horizontal stabilizer portion, there's a little slot cut in the horizontal stabilizer as well. Alright, and that is going to basically be where this little tab is going to go. Okay, that little tab right there where my finger is going to go down in there. So they will connect somehow. Just make sure everything lines up before you put it together. Alright, once I'm done installing everything, actually I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Now it is a little of a tight fit. Once I'm done installing everything and everything fits in there nice and even, obviously it's working very well right now. That's in. Now you can see it's pretty tight. It's not going to go anywhere, so all I'm going to do is basically run a bead of CA over all the surfaces right there. Make sure it's nice and even. Run some CA, some friendly CA obviously, and then I'm going to spray some activator, and this should give it a nice sturdy feel for it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll get back with you when I'm done. Alright, welcome back. Basically you can see that I've glued the inside and all the beads along where we've installed the rear vertical and horizontal stabilizer. Alright, that was really simple. Next, what we're going to do is actually work on installing, I don't know if you can see it right there, but you're going to work on installing the servos. Now these are going to be 8-gram servos. 9-gram will work if you file it out. Okay, 8-gram is going to be very tight as well. Okay, so make sure that you fit the 8-gram servos. If you have to use 9-gram, then you're going to have to file out that little wooden holder in there. Alright, as you can see, I've already pre-installed the servos. I've even got the control rod that's in there that's already installed. I'm going to go ahead and screw them down with the servos. Like I said, you're going to get the screws with the servos that you purchase separately because this is the kit. So I'm going to screw these all down and I'm going to connect the control rod right here. Alright, after we're done, then we're going to connect the control horns to the elevator and the rudder, and we should be done. I'll let you know when we're done. Alright, so you can see right here, we basically went ahead and attached the control horns. Okay, both control horns for elevator and rudder, as well as the control rods. Alright, you can see that. We've got both servos inside already attached, everything's good to go. I put those little screw quick connectors, I've got them all thread locked on so they won't go away. They won't fall off and cause a crash, not like it's going to matter with this kind of foam. But I've got those connected. I left them loose so that the control rod has a little bit of movement. So whenever we bind it, it'll allow it to center, the servo to actually center, and then we'll go ahead and tighten it down so we don't got to do as much trimming. Alright, so that's that. There's a little compartment right here for where our receiver is going to go. Okay, now our next step is going to be to mount the motor. Now when we mount the motor, it's going to basically come up into two steps. One, finding the right prop. Alright, you're supposed to use a slow flyer. I do believe it's an 8x4. Yeah, a slow flyer 8x4, but we wanted to go with a little bit more speed. So we've got an 8x4E, it's kind of a speed prop. So we want our fun flyer to be a fast fun flyer, so a triple F. Alright, the motor that we're using is a 2210 1200 kV, so that should be fine to spin it. We'll see. We're just going to kind of experiment with them until we get the right, basically the right prop and motor combination. So it's just our simple X mount that we mounted to the motor. It'll go right to the firewall right there, and then we'll attach our ESC. The ESC that we're using right now, just a simple Hobby King 20 amp ESC. Alright, hopefully that's enough. If not, then we'll have to up it, but I think that should be fine. We're not going to be like trying to break the sound barrier or anything with our fun flyer. So we'll go ahead and hook up the ESC and the motor. We'll mount everything, and we'll get back with you as soon as we're done. So you can see we've got the motor mounted. Alright, I'll hold this up nice and close. The screws didn't really line all the way up. You just got to kind of make your own screws. Sometimes the mounts don't really line up all the way. But it's got plenty of down thrust on it. You can see I've already attached the landing gear. The landing gear is actually, seems to be pretty beefy. It's a little flexible, but that's actually good when you're landing, especially for a fun flyer. Here's a little close-up of our motor here, if you can see it. Actually, let me fix it. I'll see if I can hold it up there. Maybe not, but there's our motor. Everything spins nice. We've already checked it. Inside we've got our receiver. We've basically just used, like we said before, the Hobby King 20 amp. And we're using the cheap little orange receivers here. These orange receivers are absolutely amazing. I absolutely love them. Maybe if I held it right side up, you'd be able to see. These orange receivers are great because they work. There's a lot of people that kind of doubt them, but honestly, I think they're really good for the price. I mean, you're spending $5, $6 a piece, and it's not really going to hurt it if you crash this thing. I mean, look, I can bend it, I can twist it, and it's not going to break. So, good choice, you know, using the orange. It's economical, and anybody can get, you know, a hold of it. Landing gear. Take this out. But basically, you see on the bottom, there's a slot there. You're just going to take the landing gear, squeeze it together, and then it just slides right into the little groove. Alright. Slides right in like that. Give it a little push. It's really hard to do with only one hand. Boom. There you go, landing gear. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to install the wing. Alright. The wing will just be installed right on top, right here. Okay. These two little rods that we put on through here earlier, I think it was actually step one. We'll hold the wing on with 4 of our handy dandy rubber bands, and we'll install the servos and control horns. So I'm going to install the servos and control horns, and I'll get back with you and let you know if I had any problems or issues with that. Okay, welcome back. As you can see right here, I went ahead and I've installed my servos. Now what we did was we actually just epoxied the servo in. because the wooden pieces that came with it were pieces of junk. I don't even know why you would waste your time with the piece of wood that just glues on there and that you can screw in when you can just epoxy these in here and they're not going anywhere. I mean, the lateral force is basically gonna be enough to hold it in there. All right, so I really wouldn't worry about that too much. It's not like you're pulling massive G's on a fun flyer. All right, so that's what we did. If you look really closely, you can see what we did was we used the Dubro quick connectors. Ooh, because they're just a little bit easier, all right? And they're pretty much just not as big as a piece of junk as the rest of the quick connectors. We left it loose, okay? You can see, flappy flap. We left them loose so that when we plug in our servo leads to the receiver, we bind it. This little servo is gonna do its thing and go where it wants. Once it goes where it wants and it's centered and we have all our trim set, then we'll make sure that this looks nice and even. Tighten this down, and we're good to go. I did that with the same on the other side. Epoxy, quick connectors, all right, and your control rods. Now if you notice these control horns right here, wow, you see these control horns? Measure from the edge right here on your little aileron, all right, the inside edge on the actual aileron itself, not from this part, the edge right there, all right, on the aileron. You're gonna measure 38 millimeters over to your control horn, all right, and then you're gonna cut a slit to make it nice and even. Try to center it as best you can. If you see, I did mine perfect and got a little overlap on accident, as usual. And then you're gonna glue it in as straight as possible. Basically what I do is I cut the hole with a hobby knife right there, center it because there's a little tab on it. Cut a hole with a hobby knife, make sure it's center, throw some glue down in there, put the control horn in, throw some activator on it, and then I'll run a bead all the way around. If you can see really close, there's a bead of glue all the way around it. And that thing is sturdy. I mean, it's not coming off. All right. After everything's said and done, you've got everything nice and centered and trimmed out, go ahead and cut these little pieces off. All right. Unless you don't want to, because then they'll look like little guns and you can probably stab little children or perhaps birds or sparrows or something. It's going to be up to you basically. So what I'm going to do now is mount the wing to the Fun Flyer utilizing our carbon fiber rods over here with the rubber bands that we spoke of earlier. Once I get it mounted and all fixed up, I'll let you know.